Dallas Cowboys are caught in a cycle of disappointment. Since they last appeared in the NFC Championship 24 years ago, they've shifted between having the right coach, the right roster, in the right moment, but never all at the same time. Last year's team was one of the most talented in the league, but it coincided with Jason Garrett's long-anticipated firing and saw the Cowboys finish just 8-8, again missing the playoffs. They had one of the best offenses, high-caliber players up and down their defense, and an overall roster that should have carried them back to that elusive NFC Championship or even further. But Jason took the fall, and the Cowboys had to once again restart the cycle. Mike McCarthy and his staff were hired to bring all these pieces together, combine all the talent with a scheme and culture that would ignite the Cowboys and make them champions once again. But in 2020, everything has fallen apart. They're 2-5, though they really should be 1-6. And while the offense is bad, their defense is one of the worst in NFL history. Heading into last week's game against Washington, they had allowed 36 points per game, slightly edging out the 1966 Giants for most ever. The pass defense has been atrocious, but the run defense has been the worst in about every conceivable metric. They've allowed the most rushing yards, most rushing first downs, most yards per rush, and on and on. The unit was average to above average in each of those categories just a season ago. So what the hell has happened? Well, when McCarthy was hired, he brought in defensive coordinator Mike Nolan, better known as Tabasco Mike. He's implemented an extremely complex scheme which has overwhelmed the defense. They are consistently caught out of position and have become frustrated by their lack of execution, which in turn has produced its own additional cycle of dysfunction. Their defensive talent has declined in part due to injuries, so that, paired with all the embarrassment, has caused them to publicly call out the coaching staff. Back in Week 4 against the Browns, they allowed 307 rushing yards, which was the most ever in Cowboys history. The complexity of the scheme confused the players and left them out of position. Part of Nolan's scheme is to rely on two deep safety looks so that he can diversify how the Cowboys match patterns in the passing game. But this routinely leaves the Cowboys what's called outgapped in the run game. When a team plays two deep safeties as opposed to one, they even the numbers in the box against the offense. With two safeties, the Cowboys have just 7 defenders in the box and the Browns have 7 blockers. So if everyone is blocked, there's no extra defender to attack the running back. What's worse is the lack of pre-snap movement and communication. Before the tight end motion, the Cowboys are 3-on-3 play side to the right of the center, which is already a disadvantage if each player gets blocked. So when the tight end motions and there's no backside adjustment, the Cowboys are now -1 against the run. Usually teams will bump the linebackers over and have the safety replace at the second level. But for some reason, Joe Thomas doesn't bump over and Donovan Wilson doesn't rotate down until the snap. He and Thomas both end up in the backside B gap, which is not good. And though Wilson makes a nice play, it should have never gone down like this. It's important we understand that every single defender has a responsibility in the run game, and if just one guy doesn't do his job, it can affect the entire defense. Everson Griffin's job is to be the force defender, which means he sets a hard edge outside where he isn't necessarily trying to destroy the blocker, but hold his position to make the run go back inside. Jalen Smith also plays the outside shoulder of the tackle to force the run back to the pursuit. But because the Cowboys are outgapped and Thomas didn't bump with the motion, there's nobody there. The communication was bad. The scheme was unsound. The execution was dreadful, and it's happened way too many times this year. Nevertheless, Nolan has stuck with these two high safety looks and continued to put extra stress on his defense. This has created more pressure on each defender to beat the man in front of him since they're already outnumbered, and based on the Cowboys' talent and overall effort, that's bad news. Their secondary has been especially awful against the run, and most of the time, you can chalk it up to their frustration and lack of effort. Here they're in another too high look, again inexplicably giving the offense the advantage in the box. They're playing cover 2 zone, which assigns cornerback Trayvon Diggs as the force player to set the edge and force the run back inside. The Falcons are running crack toss, where a receiver will crack back to seal a defender inside so the O-lineman can pull out and lead upfield. It's crucial that Diggs triggers instantly and sets a hard edge, but he takes way too long to ID the run and doesn't give the necessary effort on the play. It's critical that he fits outside of the lineman so the pursuit can at least have a chance to make a play, but when he doesn't, the running back flies up the sideline. He could have anticipated pre-snap the crack block might have been coming when he saw the receiver reduce his split this far inside. Diggs is keying the receiver, and the moment he sees him smash Aldon Smith, he needs to replace the edge immediately. But he waits till the receiver makes the block, the ball is in the back's hands, and his hesitation costs the rest of the Cowboys the opportunity to make the play. Offenses are just challenging the Cowboys to simply line up with a sound scheme and execute it, but being outgapped combined with bad effort has routinely caused issues for the boys. Similarly to the play before, they're again playing cover 2 zone. Trayvon Diggs is the force defender, and they still don't have the advantage in the box. The Browns are running a long trap to the weak side where the backside guard pulls across the formation to kick out the unblocked Everson Griffin. They're aiming at the C gap, assuming the guard clears Griffin up the field. But look how he stays tight to the line and wrong arms the guard by ducking inside to spill the run out. If Diggs was in position as the force, it would be a great play by Griffin, but without the edge set, the Browns pick up another 12 yards. Watch how Diggs just does not give the necessary effort to make the play for his team. If he did his job, Hunt wouldn't have a lane outside and would be sealed inside towards the Cowboys' front. But when each player consistently does not do their job, you're going to get gashed and give up massive plays. The run defense has been by far their biggest issue, no doubt, but their pass defense has been frustrating as well. A complex scheme sounds good in theory, but if you overload your defense with too many assignments, checks, and audibles, they'll blow even routine coverages. The Cowboys allowed 3 plays of 60+ yards to the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, and 5-year veteran cornerback Darryl Worley, who was just cut, blew one of the easiest assignments in the book. They're playing an incredibly standard cover 3 zone defense. 3 deep, 4 underneath, with 2 of those defenders covering the curl flat areas. The Cardinals are just sending 3 go routes down the field. Nothing fancy at all. And since cover 3 zone has 3 deep defenders, the Cowboys should be all set. But somehow, Worley lets Christian Kirk fly right by him. Both outside corners have the same assignment, but look how Diggs zone turns like you should in cover 3, but Worley keeps his feet flat. He's looking to jump a route that was never there. He should be prepared for the deepest route since he is a deep third defender. Even if Kirk runs an out route, that's already accounted for in the coverage by the curl flat defender. Kirk blows right by him and blasts the game wide open. Nolan has implemented a complex scheme that the Cowboys to date have struggled with, but there is a reason for doing that. Offenses can attack you in so many different ways, it's important to have a scheme that accounts for everything. Their defense has been brutal, but they've still shown glimmers of hope in a few areas, proving they are capable of making adjustments week to week. Let's take these sail concepts for example, which are designed to attack 3 levels of the defense and are lethal against most zone coverages. Earlier in the season, the Cowboys struggled to match the sail receiver. They had issues with the safety nailing down on that route or just flat out blew the coverage. But on certain concepts like this, you can see where and how the Cowboys have worked to get better and how good Nolan's complex scheme can be when properly executed. This is called cover 2 match. Regular cover 2 zone tells the defense to just run to a spot and break on the ball. But match defenses combine zone and man principles and defend route concepts based on how they distribute. It's far more effective, but much harder to teach, and that's been part of the problem. They've clearly drilled this coverage versus this concept as the years gone on. And watch how by matching the routes, they gain numbers and leverage on each of the receivers. Diggs passes Odell to the safety, while Worley releases the tight end underneath so the other safety can nail down on him and Worley can climb over top to Odell. It's quite beautiful to watch when it works, but if it doesn't often work, then that's what's most important. It doesn't matter how many answers or fancy coverages you have if your defense is getting ripped up each and every week. The Cowboys are coming in over-prepared, which has actually left them underprepared. By trying to stop everything, they haven't stopped anything. And after the 25-3 beatdown from the team who shall not be named, it's not just the scheme that's called into question, but the effort from the players, the quality of the coaching, and the future of the team. The franchise has been caught in the cycle of not having every ingredient at the right time. When the talent's been there, the coaching hasn't. When the coaching's been there, the talent hasn't quite measured up. But the effort, especially from one of the most storied franchises in the league, should never be called into question. Without Dak, the team will continue to have a tough season. But with improved effort, a simplification of what's asked of the defense, and a culture that needs to be rebuilt on toughness, the Cowboys can improve and play for the future. You can start building for 2021 and slowly redeveloping a mentality of champions. You can build from the ground up. Week 8 is almost here. The clock starts now.